Okay, episode 5 of my PdWebParty tutorial system series, not a system. Um, One thing I want to make a bit more clear, you may have noticed that when I load patches into my PdWebParty, um, it saves the state. Like my sliders have a state to them already. This yellow one here on the left is up about 3/4 of the way, and this one is up about a third of the way. You may be finding that when you do this, your sliders are stuck down at 0. And that's because I'm doing something when I make the sliders that I didn't show earlier. When I check the properties of any slider I make, and I make sure that they have a send symbol and a receive symbol, and I check what output range they're going at. So since this is a volume, I'm going from 0 to 1. The other thing I'm doing is I'm making sure this button here says Init. So it swaps between no init, which it is by default, and init. When it's at init, which stands for initialize, I think, it means that it will save whatever state the slider is in when you save the patch, right? So if I move this volume down a bit and move this all the way down and then save it, when I refresh the patch in here, then it will have those new locations. There we go. So now my blue slider is down there, my yellow slider is here, this one's still up here, this one's there. So I find that in most situations, it is most useful to have my sliders be initialized or be initializable. I'm not really sure what the right terminology is for it, but that I want to say init. Okay, and then the second thing I want to say is it's worth always remembering that with PdWebParty, like most web audio tools, won't make any noise until you physically click something. So there's a kind of security mechanism, I think, in most web audio things. That means that you can't just load up a patch on PdWebParty and have it make noise without any interaction. You need some kind of interaction. So that's why I've put in this like toggles for everything, because it's a really easy way to just like click, start making noise. Okay. So remember, you'll always have to click something in order for the audio engine to be able to start making noise in your browser. Now, what did I do here to make two sounds playing at the same time? So these are two different sounds now. And similar sounding sounds, but different sounds. So the first thing I had to do was make sure, so I copied these three things and pasted them over here. That's pretty clear, but I had to go into my properties and rename them. So this one is called loop 1. This one sends volume 1. This one sends pitch 1. And you can probably guess what the other ones say. Loop 2, volume 2, and I'll just show the last one, pitch 2. Okay, so these all three are sending and receiving different names. Then when I've actually separated this out into two separate subpatches just to keep it easier in my brain. You could combine these all into one if you want, but I called one load sound 1, one load sound 2. In load sound 1, I basically gone through from the previous patch and just renamed anything that was named, and I made sure this one said sound 1. So my arrays are now called sound 1 left and sound 1 right. And then in here, in this message, I had to change this to sound 1L, sound 1R. Sound 1 loaded here, array dialog sound 1L, sound 1R. Anything that's any sort of send received named thing, I had to give it its own specific name for just this sound, right? And the most important ones are obviously the array of the names of my arrays, and then the names of the things, the tab read, which is referencing that array, and then anything else that's referencing that array. And then on top of it, it's really important to say, because these will probably be two slightly different length sounds. So my my length calculators all have to be renamed specifically for this one sound. So basically make sure anywhere that you've named anything, it's for this sound. Similarly, in here, you'll notice that everything in this one is called sound 2, sound 2, sound 2, sound 2, loop 2, sound 2, sound 2, loop 2, loop 2, pitch 2, and so on. So this is exactly the same patch, but everything is renamed so that it has specific names for that sound. Now, if you were to do this in a normal PD patch, not in PdWebParty or on the web, you could do that in a clever way where you have an abstraction and then you give it an argument and then it just renames everything. So you wouldn't need to do it manually. With a web-based thing, you do need to do it manually because everything needs to be self-contained. So if you want to have 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 sounds, you just will have to make one sound player that works the way you want them all to work, copy, paste, rename everything. So that's what I've done here, and I've got 2 different sound files. I might load just a different sound in here that sounds a little different so we can distinguish them a bit more. I don't want a beep. I don't want that. Give me a good sound. Come on. These are not good sounds. These are not my own sounds. These are sounds made by somebody else. Okay, good enough. Let's do that. And ooh, that's nice. Okay, and you could potentially sync up multiple sounds by all playing them back from the same phaser, just as you would with any type of looper. These are both playing back independently of each other with independent pitch controls. So this is the simple way. If you want to start syncing things up and clocking them, then you can make a clock system that syncs everything together. Okay. That's how you play 2 sounds together, with a few other extra little tips in this one. Okay, there we go. Next, I'm going to show 2 kind of slightly more advanced things. So I'll split those out into 2. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.